Year 8 data and statistics. Well, what is statistics? Statistics is the maths concerned with gathering and organising and analysing data, or we can also think of data as information. So we use the term variable in statistics, and that is regarding to data that can change, things that can change. An example of that could be like the rainfall in Sydney. The graph here shows the rainfall on average over the last 30 years. Now we would expect that year by year and in the next 30 years that this information would change dramatically. When we collect data, we can do this in different ways, like observation, census and sampling. An example of data that could be collected by observation could be when you have someone standing and counting cars and observing cars at an intersection. They might be looking at colours or types of vehicles, things like that. We have a census when we're asking an entire population information. So we might ask the whole country of Australia in the Australian census about their incomes or things like that. If we're doing a census at a particular school, we would ask every student in the school. When we take a sample, we only look at a group, part of the whole population. So, for example, we could, in a school situation, instead of looking at a whole school, we might look at a sample class. Different kinds of sampling. There's random sampling. That might be just any kind of random way of choosing a particular thing. So taking a name from a hat is a random sample. Cluster sampling, that's when you pick a particular group from a population. Like at our school, you could pick the one particular house group and ask them information. Stratified random sampling is a sample proportional to the population. So if the whole population of year 7 was that there was 40% girls to 60% boys, then you might look at a small group, but you would make sure that in that small group of children that there was 40% that were girls as well, so the same percentage. Judgment sampling, you might choose a particular group like the SRC. Systematic sampling is when you choose a system in how you might choose the people that you interview. So maybe every 4th student that walked through the gate in the morning. Convenient sampling, well, we use that often because it's cheap and easy, and that could be just asking your family and friends. So when we collect this data, we can use particular kinds of surveys and questions. So we have to look at our types of our questioning. So it's really important to make sure that our questions are clear and relevant, and they need to be structured to get the information that we want, the data that we want. So some types of questions could be things like the yes/no question, could be the true/false question, could be where you've got to tick a box for a number of different possibilities. It could be responding on a scale, or it could be a free response or open-ended, and that's when you get to answer in any particular way that you want. So no questions that are irrelevant because they're just completely unnecessary. When we get our information, there's 2 kinds of data. We can measure some kinds, and then there's other ones that we can't measure. So our types of data are quantitative, that's our numerical values we can measure, and qualitative, our non-numerical values, which we can't measure. So in our quantitative data, we have discrete data, and that's countable with exact values. So if you're playing soccer, maybe the number of goals that were scored in a game. Or if you're going to the shoe shop, the shoe sizes, because they're definite numbers with that. Continuous numerical data is when you've got lots and lots of possibilities. They are unlimited. So when you're talking about someone's height, you can keep getting measurements that are smaller and smaller and smaller, so that the actual measurement of a person's height really can go on forever, because you can go from centimetres to millimetres, and then you can get down to micrometres and so on like that. Same with things like when you're measuring foot size or time. In our qualitative data, we've got what we call categorical data, and that's when we've got things that are placed into categories like and descriptions. So it could be like, do you agree or disagree? The colour, your favourite colour, what type of car do you have? Like scaled responses would also fall into the categorical data.